Hello and welcome to the Monday edition of Stack Your Live. I am RJ. That is Craig. Craig, how are you this week?
I'm doing pretty well, getting into some new random hobbies.
What new hobby have you taken up today?
Because I am a kind and caring, ever loving uncle. My nephew is getting into sim racing, and I have thought about, well, okay, that seems pretty cool. I can relearn how to use a stick shift because that's a lost art. Um,
hmm
and I did not realize how wildly expensive it is to buy a wheelbase. So that is my current neurospicy deep dive right now is learning far more than I should about nanometers and how powerful a wheel needs to be for formula racing and rally racing or trucking simulation because apparently that's a thing.
Yeah, they are definitely things. I haven't I, so I've never had to learn how to drive a stick shift. So I am not a car person. Like it's just not my passion in life to be a car person. So like the things people do when it comes to racing are so much like smile and nod, boys, smile and nod. Like I respect it. It's just not my bag.
Not for you.
Um we have Matt Clausen
Everyone's
in
favorite
the
life-size raccoon.
yes. He also, and I know this is not the topic of today, but he he and I were talking, and I think I actually found a use case for Rove.
Okay.
So
Interested in hearing about that.
so Delta does not always do MQDs for hotel stays, right? Like either you have to do a hotel stay and a rental car, or it has to be attached with a flight or something like that. So there are times when I want a
Yeah.
hotel, I don't want either want a rental car or a flight with it. Because I live in a part of the country where like driving 9 hours is perfectly acceptable. So occasionally I will just need a hotel. Can't always get MQDs for that. Fine, whatever. I don't always want to prepay through the Amex travel portal. Sometimes I just want to pay when I get there. And I do have the 3X Amex Green, but in that situation where I can't get MQDs and I don't want to go through the Amex travel portal and prepay, because you only get the 5X if you prepay through the portal, I could
Right.
go through Rove. Status counts for the hotel portion and the flight will pass through. So it's basically not, quote, costing me anything um, to do it that way. Plus, I'll pick up some Rove miles. I don't know how much use I'm going to have for it, but it'll be a non-zero going forward. I'm booked out through May, so at the beginning of May, so it won't have much utility until after that portion. But I did actually find a use case for Rove, and I wasn't expecting that. Now that they have Delta
Nice.
flights,
So a point and a question. Uh,
yes,
One, I totally forgot that you earn MQDs from spending money on the Delta Platinum cards. Because
yes,
I just got that card for a sign up. Well, not the upgrade bonus. There we go. Um,
right.
but yeah, I looked at my Delta account. I go, why do I have 4,200 MQDs? And I was like, oh, okay, it's the 2,500 there, and then spending. And I was like, oh, well, look at me, almost a Delta Silver. I feel so fancy with my. They won't recognize it in the slightest bit, but it's fine. And then my question to you: does it make
hmm
sense for you to have a Delta Platinum over the Amex Green Card because you can get it for hotels as well?
So I've thought about that. Here's my problem with the Delta Platinum. I am never going to use a main cabin cert,
Fair enough.
and without the main cabin cert, it is not reasonable for me to hold that card. I get a ton of value out of the Delta Reserve, both of the ones that I have. But for me, having the Delta Platinum, I would have to buy the tickets, hope I can upgrade after the fact
Fair enough.
um, to do it. Also, I am like, look, I get it. People don't like the idea of having to pay the tax to move your miles to Delta from Amex. I don't
It's not that
care.
big a deal.
It's $100. It's $100 at the most. Like I'm still getting more value than that. So for me, I rather have the green because I can use the green in weird use cases
Fair enough.
where the Delta Platinum, if that cert could be at the time I check out, move to first class, like if I just paid at that point and first class was guaranteed, I would do it. I have not found a way to do that. I have to do it as main cabin. So for me, that is the point of which it becomes a pain in the neck. Um, I am I should hit gold already. I'm waiting for like trips to happen so those flights get counted. So I'll be at gold. I'll be like 35-ish hundred away from platinum again, and I will be platinum. I will be to gold working on platinum by May. So I'll have the rest of the year um, to do things. So I should hit platinum again.
Nice.
Um, so yeah, but I mostly want it for the extra miles. So I'm not super maxing platinum, but I don't think anybody expected me to super max platinum. So here we are.
I was gonna say we need to get you essentially to have 4 Delta Reserves and 1 Hilton Business or Hilton Aspire, whichever you prefer.
Yeah, I so here's the one problem with the Delta Reserve, right? I get a ton of value off the Delta Reserve. I got something like double. I paid like 2,500, or I'm sorry, I paid like 1,200 in annual fees for my two Delta Reserves, and I got about 2,400 in flights covered based off of that. So I basically doubled what the annual fee was. But
Right.
the only way that makes sense is if the people I am flying with are also flying. You know what I mean? Like if for some reason my parents or any friends, if I don't use all four of those companion passes, I no longer am making the acceptable trade-off there, right? So 2 a year, I always am almost certainly going to use. We start getting to 4 a year, then it's like, yes, I probably will take that many flights, but are those flights going to be at the time and how we're going to fly because not every flight is available to use the cert. So
Got
that's
it.
when it starts to get a little bit complicated in terms of the ability to have multiple Delta reserves without me getting slightly concerned about using them appropriately. And I'm not selling them on eBay.
No, I understand that. Also, you would think Lonnie was here because we have gone on a tangent of a tangent.
You would think, but no, it's the beginning of the show. The first like 10 minutes are just greeting and checking in on things before we get deep in.
I just
Uh,
think Lonnie would be very proud of us.
he would. Clinton had multiple. Look, I've never had a reason to learn a stick shift, and I like. I am not a car person. I like my EV a lot. Um, I am fully capable of tangents. I am. I am the least likely to go on a tangent on the show, but I am still fully able to go on a tangent. So Matt is correct. But yeah. So Craig, would you like to introduce what our main topic is for this live?
Absolutely. So it's actually a topic that we started last week, and we just, as we talked more about it, we thought, you know what, this is something we need to dig into a little bit more. And it's
Hmm.
everybody's favorite topic in the credit card points and miles community: devaluations or inflation. And so we've done just a little bit of sleuthing just to get a better sense of kind of how points and miles redemptions, purely redemptions, not looking at status unless status plays into redemptions, but looking at like how have redemptions changed over the years. And just so you all are aware, we've kind of broken this up into two categories: pre-COVID, post-COVID. So 2010 to 2019. And granted, yes, some of our favorite points and miles strategies and programs look very different from then
Yeah.
versus 2020 to 2025. And the reason we've left it somewhat in 2025 with some small caveats is just because the year is ongoing. We don't know what everything looks like right now, despite there being a lot of movement in two of the larger, um, primarily Chase programs, those being United and Hyatt.
Mhm.
Um, so just starting things off so everybody knows where we're coming from on the same plain ground. When we say Marriott from 2010 to 2019, in some cases that unless and we will do some specific targeted kind of conversation there, but that is also included of Starwood, right? So those of you that have been in the points and miles, hey, double double. But those of you who've been in the points and miles community long enough will remember Starwood. It was fantastic. It was awe-inspiring. It is where we got excuse me, not Ritz Carlton's, St. Regis's from. I love St. Regis's, St. Regi, the saints of multiple Regis.
Yes.
Um, but oftentimes, it's not a program that gets talked about a ton, just because, again, it's Marriott. Unless you grind out those days or spend a absolute boatload of money, you're not really getting super high status there.
Right.
Um, And then the primary thing too that you'll see a lot that has changed is we no longer have charts. There are some back end award chart levels that you can kind of expect, but for the most part, we have seen the game really transition into dynamics, which RJ, you have been a pretty vocal critic. Well, actually, you know what? I wouldn't even say critic. You've been fairly even keel about it because you've been a critic, but you've also been very supportive, depending on the program. Um, Obvious support being Hyatt, excuse me, Hilton IHG. Um, More criticism, but also still fairness. Hyatt, which can I just say, hilarious the changes.
So here's what I'll say about award charts. I don't have a problem with award charts, right? Like I'm not anti-award chart for the giggles of it. I just see that companies are moving away from them. So like clinging on to them like your rose on the door in Titanic. I don't understand the logic there, right? Like everybody is moving away from them. This is not a sustainable model that companies have found to work, at least for their bottom line. So I just I understand that you love them. I don't dislike them either. Um, but I think they're going the way of the dodo. I think like Mythbusters did a video on this. I just don't remember the outcome.
I agree with Matt. There was plenty of space on that door, especially considering how 1910 doors were built.
So God, I wish somebody go look up the Mythbusters and tell me what the outcome was because I am working off a 14-inch MacBook Pro and I have notes on my iPad Pro and I can't multitask the way I usually do, guys. I don't have my 27-inch monitors and my 16-inch MacBook Pro tonight. Marriott doors wouldn't float. That's not wrong. Um, but yeah, I don't have a problem with awards charts. Like if every company had a firm awards chart, I wouldn't be opposed to that. But they're not. That's not what the tea leaves are telling us, guys. The tea leaves are being very specific. And Hyatt just went dynamic light.
And this is going to sound very not great to people. I think Hyatt has essentially done what Hilton has done. Also, just confirmed. Yes, the Mythbusters in 2012 did confirm that she could have moved over. Just saying. Um, but I think because when we say dynamic, everybody thinks Hilton is dynamic, but in reality, Hilton they function within a range within still a similar room, right? Like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, you could have expected a room at the Conrad in Indy or the Waldorf Astoria in Chicago to be 95,000 points. Now it can be 95,000 all the way up to 150,000. Hi, Tariq. And so, I think, yes, there is a sense of dynamics in that, but there's still roughly an award chart, a very broad sense of the idea of award chart. But I will say, I think where this becomes painful for Hyatt, one, you're the smallest footprint,
Mhm.
and two, you're the hardest program to get points for. So, although, yes, we still have some guide rails of what an award chart might look like. It's not like it's 2022 where you can get, hey, I can get a category 4 or category 5 Hill Hyatt for 20,000 points and I'm saving $600 a night, right? Now it's that category 4, category 5 could be 50,000 points. And that
Yeah.
is a very different conversation, especially when you consider it's not easy to earn UR points. It's not easy to earn Hyatt points. So, and I have my own gripes with Hilton's program, but I can't deny that getting 34 Hilton points makes it a little bit easier of a blow to afford a luxury room or even just a double tree at the airport, right? That's just it. When you talk about inflation, things also have to change within the program. Similarly to people earn more money now, right? Like we are
Yeah.
not accounting for inflation, but when you look at the overall mass of dollars, people make more money. All right.
Yeah.
Like my grandfather used to tell me about, oh, yeah, I made $3,500 a year and I bought two houses, a car, and had a family. Sir, I make many, many times more than that. And when I found out we were having a second kid, I thought, I don't really need two kidneys. And that's how it feels right now with Hyatt. Hyatt is still asking, Hyatt is now asking for kidneys, but they have no opportunity or way for me to regenerate a kidney. So, not really sure how this play is going to move for them long term unless this new luxury Hyatt card is giving you 15 points a dollar or 20 points a dollar on the stays.
Yeah. Um, so first to Double's question, yes, the headphones I'm wearing do not have Pro at the end. Um, for Apple, not necessary. My watch is an Ultra, not a Pro, but that's, I think, splitting hairs. To Keith's point, like it is for the benefit of the corporations. Um, the price increases don't track inflation. I agree there. The thing is, and we'll get to this, like uh, we're if you're going to be in this game, right, and make points, you kind of have to just go with the one you want, right? Like all of them have increased their prices. I think we can spoil it at the end and say that all the hotel programs are more expensive now than they were 10 years ago. I'm going to spoil your work there, kid. Um it just is like go with the one you want to. Like I think that ultimately is the advice, right? Because all of them have gone up. All of them have done things we don't agree with. All of them are in that same boat. They have done different things we might not agree with, right? But ultimately, they are all more expensive than they were. Um, no Tariq, you didn't break Hyatt. It's okay. It's dynamic light. Like 40 price points is dynamic light at this point. Um, just because of how it's done. Also, I checked. Mythbusters said that if they both got on the door together, um, it would have sank. They would have had to put her life jacket for buoyancy under it, and they probably wouldn't have known to do that. So there was not, in fact, room on the door. Um, how? So it's been going on since 8:30, so 19 minutes. How do you recommend people pick their part? So it depends on what you like. I like IHG and Hilton. Like I can get I think okay, I wanna back up for a second here. When it comes to this question. It is gonna depend on if you care about status or if you care about points redemption, right? I think those are two separate things. They are somewhat connected, right? But they are separate. I do not care as much about the points redemption side as I do about the status side, right? Like I still redeem points. I'm redeeming something like 1.2 million IHG points this year. My parents really love intercontinentals. I have made things happen that I am still not entirely sure. I've pulled several rabbits out of several hats that I did not understand that were going to be pulled, and yet here we are. Um, I think it really depends on what you care about, right? Like I care about the status side more than I do about the pure points redemption side, right? If I only cared about points redemption, I'd still probably be in Hyatt. That still tends to be, even with their changes, where that points redemption. Um, so I think that if you care about status, then it's simply about what hotel can you earn status in, right? Which one do you want to earn status in? Which status gives you the most bang for your buck for how you travel and what you want? If you care about points redemption, then honestly, at this point, portals kind of might be a better option than being loyal to any one chain. Something like Rove, something like Chase, something like Amex, right? I'm not going to go into the pure Expedia of it all, but you know, going with even Capital One, right? Like you don't have to do math to figure out what you're going to get back in Capital One, right? So I think that if you're super concerned about points, then free agency may be for you in that way, or, picking the broadest hotel coalition you can do. If you care more about status, I think it's a lot easier to pick your partners for hotels because you're working towards those statuses, or you're getting an Aspire card where you have diamond. But I do think you have to separate the points and the status and why you want what you want. So for me, yes, I want Hilton points, and Hilton is in a weird place for me and for a lot of people, but they're the easiest one to use. Like, I want Hilton status, I want Hilton points, but I also pay a lot cash stays, right? So for me, it's about getting certain redemptions. It's not about all of my stays are on points. I am never going to have all my stays on points. Like, that's not my goal. If your goal is that, then you're going to do things very differently. Um, yeah.
So to that point, I think the I've always been confused by the only points for stays people. Um, because my thing is, are you only going traveling for 2 to 5 days a year, or how are we doing that? Without getting into some of the more intricate or less than savory kind of pathways that might lend itself to. Um, but to the question at hand, I think we've come to a point where we have to go against common or kind of a mantra that we've pounded through this show, which is pick your partners. And I think it depends on how you travel, because if you are truly an like stayer, and when I say econo, I don't mean that a place is dirty or that there's anything bad with staying with there, but like, hey, I'm staying at Marriott, I'm staying at Fairfields, I'm staying at Holiday Inns, I'm staying at Radisson's, I'm staying at Country Inn and Suites. It doesn't necessarily lend itself to chasing status or chasing points, right? At this point, what is going to be the cheapest option for doing what I need? Because as a whole, check the ratings on a property and see what's the closest to where you want to be. And I think that's kind of where we go, right? I
I
think we've
think
gotten to oh, go for it.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think if you're not necessarily a business traveler with specific contracts, or if you're not someone that's looking to do major point redemptions for specific luxury stays, status kind of means a little bit less. Like, right? But like
Mhm.
if that is the type of travel that you want to do, by all means, right? Like status matters if you're going to a place where, hey, I get free breakfast because I have IHG Platinum, or because I have Hilton Diamond, or I'm getting specific credits that I can take advantage of. I think that's a very different conversation as opposed to, well, I like Hilton's, and so I'm going to be loyal to Hilton's despite it might be a worse cost or a more intensive point redemption there.
So I think, and Lonnie's not here, and I don't want to speak for him, but on my side, pick your partners has always been for people who are not that they're not price conscious, but it is not the first or second thing on the list, right? When I'm looking at hotels, price is absolutely a consideration, but it is often not the first consideration, right? Like, and I think for pick your partners, that has to come into effect. And I honestly, I think being a free agent is still picking your partners in the broadest sense of what it, pick your options. You know what I mean? Like it is still a path. Um, so I do think that Lonnie and I specifically are talking to people who are not free agents. If you're a free agent, you have already sort of picked your adventure. Um, but even a lot of free agents have preferences, right? Like if you stay at a lot of IHGs or a lot of Marriotts or whatever, you kind of have picked your partners, even though you consider yourself a free agent. Um, James with a question. I only have 4 cards considering upgrading my Surpass to the Aspire. Um, Surpass for multipliers, status, FNC, and resort. Would you upgrade or get a second account? If you can with Amex, I would probably get 2 accounts because of the Surpass. Um, if those are the options, upgrade or second account, the Surpass multipliers are better. I would get the second account. And then if you hit 15 on the Surpass, you now have 2 FNCs.
I'm also going to say this. I think two Hilton Aspires, unless you have a specific game plan for them, don't mesh as well as a Hilton Aspire and a Hilton Surpass. Um, and the rationale there, the resort benefits, yes, you can pre-charge your card. You can call in and have them do a pre-authorization charge. But if you don't have a resort stay plan for the year, you're kind of just, SOL out there, right?
Yeah,
And the other thing that is a little bit constricting about a Hilton Aspire is that your FNC expires 12 months after the day you receive it. So
yeah.
again, unless you have a 2-day stay at a specific property where you are ready to go and you have a plan in mind, yeah, I still think it's the best overall hotel card that is offered, right? At a luxury end or because of status, because of multipliers, because of credits, but it is a card that you need a plan for, right? Like I wouldn't tell anybody to just walk into a Hilton Aspire without a plan. I can with pretty good confidence say, hey, if you stay at a hotel 4 times a year and you don't mind Hilton's, a Surpass is a great card. I would recommend to anyone.
And I think that's gonna be a difference between a solo traveler versus somebody with a family,
Yep.
right? Because if I am looking for a hotel, I can go with a Hilton resort a little bit easier. I'm more flexible. I do a lot of weekend stays, where that might make sense. So to Spaceco's point, I think it's hard, right? Because there are a lot of people who do not look at the cent per point at all. Their only consideration, their sole consideration is did I pay cash for this? That is and this isn't like a me thing. We all know I am a little bit batshit, but like this is beyond me, right? Like this is I am not paying a dollar out of my wallet. I don't care if it's 0.01 cent per point, right? Like I don't care if I'm putting down 500,000 Hilton points for the room I want. I didn't pay cash for it, right? Like, and there are so many people like that in the game. I don't know how you, I don't know how you quote fix people redeeming for value you don't agree with, because there are a lot of people who do not care about the redemption value in the way that you do because they just didn't pay cash. They consider that the win.
I'm going to expand upon that a little bit too. And I'll say Marriott, Hilton, and IHG, and Choice is kind of in that 50-50 lane. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. Um, those are the properties where, to RJ's point, I don't particularly care, right? Like I have the points, I spend the points. If I need more points, I buy the points, I use the points. It's cheaper than cash, and I didn't pay cash, so I'm happy, right? Um, and the real allure there is kind of just status, right? Like, or we just have the best properties, right? Like, say what you will, Hilton has some of the greatest hotels in the world, even from a non-chain perspective, right? Like, my wife and I have a dream to hit every Waldorf Astoria in the world. We're at like 17 right now. And there's still like 26 we need to go to. Some of them stinkers. The Bankhead Waldorf Astoria in Atlanta, terrible. Do not recommend. The one in uh, Park City, sensational, right? Um, but like, hit or miss. But I don't care how much I spend in points. It's just a thing for me. I think where the issue comes in is that Hyatt has not always, but typically been the crowd that says, "Hey, I got great value. Look at this cent per point I had." Just referencing back to my notes, the previous highest amount that you would ever pay for a Hyatt room was 45,000 points, right? And that was at peak time. If you had availability, this is a standard room. We're at 75,000 right now. That took instantaneously a Hyatt room value from 2 cents per point down to 1.5. And that is an ideal situations. Now, I'm not saying that you can't still get great cents per point. And RJ, again, this isn't a math conversation trying to sway somebody one way or the other. But when we talk about the people that normally go to Hyatt, right? They're saying,
Mhm.
look how great I'm doing with this redemption. It's so few points. You all are spending 200,000 points on a Hilton, and I only spent 40,000 points on a Hyatt. Okay, well, I still think the math is a little bit different because you only got 6 points per dollar for your Hyatt stays. I got 34 on my Hilton. It evens out, right? Um,
Right.
but I think that this is now the blow, right? Because you used to be able to get a Hyatt for 12,000 points. Now those middle tiers are 25,000 to 30,000 points a night, right? And so the crowd of, well, I care about the money. It's always about the money. It's always about how much can I save. These min maxers, those are the people that are going to get hit the hardest, and those are the ones that I've seen online in the Reddit threads and on various videos from other creators being the most vocal about how genuinely hurt they are about it. As you can tell, I'm very distraught about this entire situation.
Yes.
Um, and to that, I think that's where the crowd is. I think simultaneously, the crowd that's been hit the hardest is also the crowd that has shot themselves in the foot. Because think about it. How many people were really going to Big Sur just on a whim? Every Hyatt redemption you look up at for a luxury stay, I'm at the Andaz in Waldorf in Tahiti, or I'm at the Big Sur Resort in California. These are $6,000 a night rooms. I'm surprised it took Hyatt this long to change this up at the highest end. Now, I am still surprised at you know entry and economy level programs that they made such a huge change, but eh, right. And
I
to Keith's point, it does add up, but I think the
s-
math has changed. Well,
so
I
I
don't think it
also
has.
so I also think that there's something else going on of there are a ton of people who spend points on rooms at super high-end hotels, right? Like they do their FNC at a Waldorf or, a Conrad or JP Marriott or whatever, JW Marriott, excuse me. Um, and they literally spend no other money at that hotel. Like they'll Uber eats themselves McDonald's to go to their super fancy hotel room, right? People wonder why hotels want you to spend 2 nights. People wonder why the hotels are getting annoyed with people who are going on points because people are not spending money at the hotels. Regardless of how you feel about that, the hotels want you to use their facilities, right? Like that's part of the reason that they are there. And because so many people are going to a place where they're not using the spa, they're not getting the food, they're not going to the bar, they're not, doing all of these other things. The hotel is not making money. Like they're losing money because somebody's got to go clean your room after you leave. right? And a lot of these people are not tipping their housekeeping staff either. So we're now in a place where you have people staying at hotel rooms that are not sort of, and again, I'm not saying that you should let them extract every dollar out of you, but like also the hotels have to be solvent so they stay. Like if nobody started eating at the Waldorf, guess what? The Waldorf is going to have major issues because that's a lot of the way they stay solvent. And I think the people who are, I think we're seeing changes to the programs like the edit requiring 2 nights because they're hoping that helps people go to the bar or go to the restaurants or do whatever in a way that one night, a one off doesn't. And I don't think we talk about that a ton, but I do think it is a factor.
No, it's 100% a factor. And to that point, it, I get it. Points and miles. Actually, I won't say that. Not everyone that is into points and miles is here to have luxury, once in a lifetime stays. I think it's the calling card and it's the hook that like gets you in. But then after a while, you get to pick and choose. Like, hey, how do I actually enjoy traveling? Now, granted, I'm bougie. I like doing that, but that's not everybody's desire. Um, and I think too that even if I had to pay cash for these places, I would still go to these places, right? And I think that's the difference to your point of if you had to still eat here and you didn't get $100 Amex credit or Chase at the edit credit for breakfast or for the spa, would you actually do anything in the property? And I think people aren't necessarily the most realistic in how they kind of choose to think about how points accommodates their monetary situation because points aren't a comedy are a compliment, right? It is not the only way. Like it got you there, but can you enjoy the sense of being there? Um, and to that point too, I know somebody I can't remember who asked the question in here earlier, but like kind of where would we go with this? And I think the Hyatt crew, depending on how this luxury or next luxury is the wrong word, but this high end Hyatt card does, I think they have no choice but to kind of start looking if they want to keep having these high value experiences into other programs, right? Like the only two programs that still have award chart, like true award charts, are Choice, um, Wyndham, and I believe I prefer. Um, but and I'll say this: out of the three of those, I'm probably going with I prefer, just because they have the hotels that I like to stay at. But
Yeah.
um, Choice and Wyndham have some properties that are really nice. I just looked at, for example, Washington D.C., July 3rd through the 6th, 250th anniversary of our country. People are going to be in Washington D.C. $630 a night, 30,000 points. Right? That is Hyatt level expectations that people have come to enjoy and appreciate about Hyatts. And we tying this back to our original point about inflation. Choice, Wyndham, and oh yeah, no, Choice and Wyndham are the only programs that do not have a room, and Hyatt, excuse me, do not have a room over 100,000 points per night. Now, for me and you, RJ, doesn't matter, right? Like I'm gonna stay where I want to stay. But when you think about like the shock value of, hey, who's the first 100,000 point a night crew? Surprisingly, well, actually, not surprisingly, it was Hilton, 2017. That's the first program to ever go beyond 95,000 points. Then once Hilton did it, Marriott said, "All right, thanks," and they then flooded the market with 100,000 point rooms in 2019. Um, from there, just curious, do you want to guess who has the highest redemption for a single standard night?
I have seen the chart, so I
Oh,
don't
that's right.
want to
Never mind.
guess.
You know it.
I will say it would not have been my first guess. I would have
Just
guessed Hilton.
curious to the chat, who do you think has the highest point redemption single night in currently in the points and miles landscape?
We'll give people a minute.
If
This is
if you
also
can
a full,
guess, I will do something special for you. I'm not sure yet. I'm not. We'll figure it
so
out.
yes, you can buy points. You absolutely can buy points. The problem with basically every ecosystem is you can buy a fixed number of points, and that's what you can do. I think it's around 100 to 200,000 um, per
360 for a
ecosystem.
Hilton,
If you
but
get
that's
it on
only with the
bonus,
bonus. Only with
right?
the bonus.
Like so it depends. Wow, you got some
Oh
people
wow,
getting
yeah.
it.
All of you all better not cheated, but yes, 500,000 points for IHG's Intercontinental and for a few other places in every RJ's favorite place, the Maldives.
I am so glad. Like, I like a nice hotel, but I am not going to the place that they are the most insane. I'm very happy about that.
I feel like that's a real missed opportunity. It's everything you love, unbearable heat, humidity, mosquitoes.
So I'm in Florida right now, and it has been between 70 and 80. It is March the 2nd. My body is like, I would like the Viking Ice Age back, please. Like, I want to go back to New York and be cold again, please.
I feel that. It's okay.
I am not for the heat. So I want to switch gears just a little bit.
Yeah,
I want to stay on point. I want to talk a little bit about airlines. A lot of our commiserating conversation pieces center around hotels, right? But there are a lot of jokes about airlines. Um, Delta bears the brunt of it. United gets some of it. AA, so you can talk more about AA than I can, obviously. They seem the most, quote, reasonable of the major three, but also the most that is likely to change drastically now that they're partnered with Citi.
abso absolutely. So where AA is in a odd spot is that their points and spending are also tied to their status. You would be surprised how many people are platinum pro or or executive platinum members that have not stepped on a plane in several years. And that's purely because they have an AA card and that's the only card that they spend on, which good for them, right? Like, but it's the amount of status that they have, a little ridiculous. Um, AA, you can still get a flight for, I think the lowest I've ever seen it was 5,000 points. Uh, See you, dong. Um, but that was from major city to Vegas or from hub to hub. But 5,000 points, not bad. You can get a 5,000 point LAX to JFK in what did they call it? Main cabin extra. So like premium economy, right?
Hmm.
It's not a bad flight, but the soft product is where they get you. Now, what I will say is because there are so many different ways to earn status, I can see AA either A, reducing the ways that you can earn status, B, just going the way of the dodo because you got to think their two biggest competitors. Uh, there's not a way for you to earn status like that, right? Or even points to a certain degree. Um, but United and Delta haven't had a true award chart or distance chart in quite some time, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But AA also has a much higher point value. And I also think that at most now, I'm flabbergasted that they have not done a large deval yet. It has to be coming. I don't understand how they are still maintaining this because just to be fair, RJ, I've got like a million Atmos points. And that's because when we were in 2024, 2025, allowed to move from Amex to Hawaiian, Hawaiian to Alaska, I moved an uncopious, ridiculous amount of points there and canceled the flight that I had to Australia. So I'm just sitting on like a million Atmos points right now with nothing to do with them. I could take a ton of 4,500 point flights, but um, but when we think about it, AA's most recent change was going to loyalty points. And to Matt's point, yeah, I think AA and Alaska, Atmos, whatever you prefer to call it, there has to be a devaluation coming soon. Do I want it to be? No. I love the points strength, but it in its current model, it's just not sustainable. Now, the only good thing is that, you gotta be on a American flight, so how many people actually wanna do that?
I imagine Matt as the Joker and a raccoon during this. Um,
Is he the
no,
Joker's pet raccoon? Or is he the
ooh,
Joker and the raccoon?
why not both?
Yes. Yes, I like those.
Uh, but no, I think airline is weird because you get both status and miles, right? And they are so disconnected in a way. They're both connected and not, but they don't work usually the way hotel does. So it's almost like, you're learning multiple different systems, multiple different things. Deltas are fairly connected, um, but then AA feels like a fever dream of a reward system, and then you've got United. And then you have sort of the business traveler versus the non-business traveler, how that comes in. So I think there's just so much weirdness. Like with hotels, everything is, and I don't mean standard as in all the same, but you kind of got the flow of it, right? Like you have, except for Marriott, you have three or four status tiers. Marriott, I believe, has 27 at our last counting. Um, where with airlines, you have you have roughly the same number of tiers, but they are so wildly different on like how you can get them, why
And
you
they
would get
matter
them.
so much more once you get to the top end.
Yeah. And then there's international versus domestic, right? Like I don't care at all about international, which people think is crazy. I just have no desire to travel internationally. So like that's going to be a whole like the flight alliances where you can get, if you're Delta Platinum, you can get this other status because they're an alliance member. If you're United, you can get this other status. If you're a 1K member, like there is so much tied to different things
So
with
surprisingly,
status.
I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please continue.
No, 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 go ahead.
I was gonna say, with Sky Team, um, United, once you get past gold, means nothing, right? Like United Gold is all you need, and you will have status with everyone else. For American and One World, it is Platinum Pro. Actually, I take that back. Sky Team is Delta. Star Alliance is United. But Sky Team for Delta, I actually do not travel enough on any Sky Team partner outside of my most flown Sky Team is Virgin, right? So put in perspective there. And to RJ's point earlier, there is just so many different things to go along with status, but also with the way the points break down because you have award charts, you have distance charts, you have charts based on your status. You have charts based on if you have a credit card. You have charts on so many different things. And I wish everybody, when they went dynamic, quote unquote, that they took the Virgin Atlantic style of dynamic because I can get across the pond for 7,000 Virgin Atlantic miles. Now, granted, you're in economy, but you can upgrade that for 150 bucks, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's the equivalent of domestic first class. So I I don't think dynamic is always bad, but it is not always it's more often than not good.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah.
I don't drink anymore, but an old fashioned was my go-to drink when I was out and about. So gin and tonic or old fashioned were the two that I would enjoy the most. So I understand that feeling. Um, but yeah, I think points are always going to be a topic that gets people's attention. Always going to be a topic where people are very passionate no matter what side. And funny enough, points value go up. Like number of points it take to do a thing has gone up. Shockingly not at the rate of inflation. And they're not, and these hotel companies are not being fair and judicious and restrained. I for one am shocked, Craig. I am deeply shocked by this.
I don't know. I think capitalism is really going to take care of us.
These companies really do care. They really care about who we are and what we want out of life.
Absolutely. I don't know why
Um,
you would think anything to the opposite of that.
so how this show works, if you guys haven't noticed, if this is the first time in a Monday Live, is we basically do a deep dive on one topic. We obviously will answer questions as the chat brings up different things, um, but we are mostly focusing on one topic on this. If you guys have suggestions for what you want us to focus on as sort of our deep dive topic, please let us know. We will come up with different ideas, but if you guys have something you really want to talk about, I think Keith, goodness, I'm looking at Keith's name as I'm talking. I think Craig and I are more than willing to dive into topics you guys uh, are. I'm sorry, Matt. You can't get a credit line increase for Barclays because Barclays is the most advanced credit card system on the planet. Um, but anyway, so if you guys have ideas, you can put them in the Discord, you can put them in the chat. We will be back Monday. We're at 51 minutes. I have said I will cut somebody off in the middle of a sentence to keep us under 60 minutes. So we're at 51 and change. Any final thoughts, Craig, for this topic?
It's always the sky is falling. We will be okay. I promise you. We will move to a new system. If Hyatt stops working, I will see you at a Wyndham. I will see you at a Radisson. Um, but I assure you, somebody will step into the gap.
I'm being told to say goodnight, RJ. So I think that means I officially have to say goodnight, RJ. Bye, everybody.